Basketball is a sport that is played on a rectangular court between two teams of 5 players each. Basketball court. It can be played inside or outside. Usually outdoor or anywhere as long as there is basketball hoop. But it is more interesting and enjoyable when there is proper court and dimensions, because part of the rules and violations are in the court. Basketball court must be rectangular. The court is a flat and hard surface. It should be flat because so that players can avoid accident, and it should be hard surface because it is for the ball to bounce, because if the ground is grass or something, the ball will not bounce. The back court is the team's own basket. Inbounds part of the back court and a part of the playing court limited by their own end line, sidelines, and century line. So why is it important to familiarize the basketball court? You must develop the ability to see the entire court in front of you if you want to be a successful team player. This skill is necessary regardless of the position you play or where you are on the court. Again, basketball can be played anytime and anywhere. Just be sure that your court or your surroundings is safe and not prone of accidents, and also avoid injuries.
Any basketball court has various lines marking different parts of the basketball court, and each line has its own specific rule in the way a basketball game is played. So, the different parts of basketball court are the baselines, the sidelines, the boundary lines, the free throw line, the lane lines, the midcourt line, the three-point line, the restricted area, the hash marks. The baselines, also known as the end lines, are located on the ends of the court. The baselines denote inbounds and out of bounds on each side of the court. If the ball goes out of bounds across the baseline, players will stand behind the baseline and to the side of the backboard to inbound the ball. Depending on who you talk to, you may hear someone call these lines either the baseline or end lines. Baselines are 50 feet long. On the sides of the court are the sidelines. Like the baselines, the sidelines marks the boundaries between inbounds and out of bounds. If a player steps on these lines or crosses them, he is out of bounds. Behind the sidelines are where the benches and scorers table are located, home to the head coach, players, official, and media. The sidelines are 94 feet long. The sidelines and baselines make up the perimeter of a basketball court. Together, they form the boundary lines dividing the court between inbounds and out of bounds. If the ball or a player in possession of the ball touches any boundary line, they will be called out of bounds, and the ball will be given to the opposing team. The boundary lines measured 94 feet, sidelines by 50 feet baselines. The free throw line or the foul line is used by players during free throws when a player is fouled when in the shooting motion, after a technical or flagrant foul, or when a team is in the bonus. If awarded a free throw, a player will stand behind the foul line and shoot an uncontested shot that is worth 1 point. The lane lines are two lines that were perpendicularly attached to the baselines and free throw lines. The rectangular area created with a free throw line and two lane lines is usually painted and referred to as either the K or the paint. The lane lines are 19 feet long. Midcourt line is located in the middle of the court and divides it equally into two pieces. It is also known as the half-court line. The midcourt line is used to equally divide the court and to call backcourt violations, which happen when a team with possession crosses midcourt and brings the ball back into their side of the court without the other team touching it. The three-point line or three-point arc surrounds each team's basket. It is used to determine how many points a field goal is worth. A team will earn 2 points if the shoot is taken or inside the three-point line and goes into the basket. If a shoot is taken outside the three-point line and goes into the basket, a team will earn 3 points. Hash marks are a series of small lines connected to the edges of the paint. These are mainly used for non-shooting players to line up in between during free throws. They can also be used in play designs by coaches. It's important to know the parts or lines of a basketball court. So, it is important to learn the lines on a basketball court to understand a game, considering every line on a court has a purpose. Basketball is a thrilling game because a split second can change the result, and in order to understand and play the game better, we should know the different parts of a basketball court.
Dimensions of a basketball court. As we can obviously see, all basketball courts are flat. The measurement from the inner edge up to the boundary line is 28 meter long and 15 meter wide. Lines of a basketball court are 5 centimeter wide and must be visible to everyone who are watching the game. The boundary line is at least 2 meter wide from the playing court, including the seated team bench personnel, and the court is marked by a further boundary line in a contrasting color and is 2 meter wide minimum as well. Let's go on to the dimensions of the free throw lines, restricted areas, and free throw rebound places of a basketball court. The free throw line is drawn parallel to each end line. Its farthest edge is 5.8 meter from the inner edge of the end line and is 3.6 meter long. Next is the restricted areas, which are rectangular areas marked on the playing court. Their outer edges are 2.45 meter from the midpoint of the end lines and terminate at the outer edge of the extended free throw lines. 3-point field goal area. This area is the entire floor of the playing court except for the area near of the opponent's basket. The 2 parallel lines extending from and perpendicular to the end line is covered up with an outer edge of 0.90 meter from the inner edge of the sidelines. An arc of radius is measured 6.75 meter from the point on the floor beneath the exact center of the opponent's basket. The throw-in lines. These lines are 0.15 meter long and marked outside of the playing court at the sideline opposite on the table of the scorer. The outer edge of the lines are 8.325 meter from the inner edge of the nearest end line. So no charge semicircle areas. These lines shall be marked on the playing courts. It is measured with a radius of 1.25 meter and is joined by 2 parallel lines perpendicular to the end lines. The inner edge is 1.25 meter from the point on the floor beneath the exact center of the basket, 0.375 meter in length, and 1.25 meter from the inner edge of the end line. Spectators. These people must be seated at a distance of at least 5 meter from the outer edge of the boundary line of the playing court. So, that's all. Thank you for listening.